Assalamu alaikum dear students. Hopefully you will be fine. Today we are going to start a new unit number 3, a polar explorer. This unit is an autobiography and we will read about a boy who was the explorer of North Pole and South Pole both, and his name was Roald Amundsen. And this is an autobiography. A polar explorer is an autobiography, and in which polar ransom in which inshallah Aziz in this story through this biography we will read about Roald Amundsen family's background, his struggles, efforts, hardship, achievements, explorers, expeditions, communications, and advantages are represented. And first, let's know first some achievements of Roald Amundsen, and here are some his achievements of life. He was the first to pass through the Northwest Passage in the Arctic Ocean. He was the first expedition to reach the South Pole in 14 December 1911. In 1926, he led a successful expedition to the North Pole. He is recognized as the first person to have reached both poles. So students, there are two kind of polar. The one is South Pole and second is North Pole. So first to know, caribou reindeer, disputed, disagreed with. Expedition, a journey by a group of people with a clear aim to explore. Encircling surrounding. Inuit, previously Eskimos, the people who live in a Arctic region. Norway, a country in northern Europe. Obey, to do what you have been told to do by someone in charge. Ostentatious, deliberate and obvious display. Oslo, the capital of Norway. Pacific, peaceful. Perseverance, persistent in doing something difficult or delay. Reciprocate, reply something's action in a similar way. Security, close, careful examination, rigged, destroyed at sea. So let's start the reading of the lesson. A polar explorer. Roald Amundsen was born in Norway in 1872. As a child, he read about famous British explorers. He joined as many sports teams as he could and slept with his windows wide open. Despite the freezing cold Novigrad's winters, so that he would be fit, strong, and ready if he got the chance to be an explorer. Amundsen's family worked in the shipping industry, but his mother wanted him to avoid the dangers of a life at sea, so she encouraged him to be a doctor. He obeyed his mother's wishes while continuing to read about explorers. When he was 21 years old, his mother died. Amundsen left university and began his life as an explorer. In early expedition, Amundsen was part of the crew. He watched, listened, and learned some useful skills. Once on a ship trip in ice, he observed how the doctor's hunting skills provided the crew with fresh meat and kept them free from scurvy. Scurvy is a disease caused by a lack of vitamin C. It can lead to illness, the loss of teeth, and death from bleeding. When he was 28 years old, Amundsen became a leader of expeditions with his own ship, Joy. The ship is still on display at the Firm Museum in Oslo. From 1903 to 1906, Emerson took a crew of 6 men on Joy on the expedition to find a route through the Northwest Passage. The Northwest Passage, in the name of the sea route through the Arctic Oceans from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Due to the very cold temperature, the area is frozen over most of the time. For a short while each year, the ice around the land in the north of Canada can break up enough to allow vessels through. Joy was small enough to pass through these water and avoid the shadow or areas that would have wrecked bigger ships during the winter. When the ship was frozen into ice, the crew watched the Inuit who lived there and picked up important Arctic survival skills, such as using dogs to travel by sledge. Sledge is a car, you can say, which carried through the dogs in such cold areas, which covered by snow. These were useful on later expeditions to the North Pole. Emerson also stocked up on furs to wear, which were much warmer than the woolen clothes he had. Getting the North Poles was a challenge. First, Emerson tried to go by ship, but it got stuck in ice. He had to think of another way to achieve his goal and decided to travel by plane. The first attempt in 1925 was dangerous and unsuccessful. Finally, in 1926, Emerson made it to the North Pole. 3 other peoples climbed separately to have got to the North Pole before Emerson, but all of these have been disputed. Emerson's skills and perseverance made him the first person to be able to climb that he had been to both poles. He said that his success came from proper preparation and having the appropriate equipments. He said, "Victory awaits him who has everything in order." Emerson wrote about his experience in his autobiography, My Life as an Explorer. One day, 2 of the boys and I were standing on the deck when one of them exclaimed, "There is a caribou." He pointed to a small black object just on the skyline of one of the encircling hills. The other man, who had the best vision of the 3, looked steadfastly at the black object for a moment and then turned to his companion and said, "That caribou walks on 2 legs." Sure enough, Close secretly confirmed his quick perception that this was not a caribou but an Eskimo. Some other 2-legged caribous joined the first until 5 figures were outlined against the sky. Then they advanced towards us in a body. I sent the 2 boys with their rifles, and then the 3 of us advanced to meet them. I was in the lead, and behind me came my little army of 2. As the Eskimos neared us, we could see they were all armed with bows and arrows. This began to look like a ticklish situation. We had no way of knowing whether their intentions were friendly or hostile. Certainly, they were equipped for war. However, there was nothing to do but meet them face to face. The 2 parties proceeded to within about 15 paces and then hated. I then turned to my army and instructed them ostentatiously to throw their rifles on the ground. I then turned to the Eskimos. Their leader, seeing this specific move, immediated it by turning to his followers and uttered a command. They obeyed by throwing their bows and arrows on the ground. I was unarmed and advanced towards them. The Eskimos leader also came out alone. It is remarkable how accurately two men can communicate who do not speak a word of a common language and whose whole experience of life seems utterly separately from each other's. Expressions of the fact, nods and shakes of the head, the gestures and tones of the voice convey meaning with astonishing accuracy. By these means, I quickly convinced the Eskimo leader that I wished to be his friend, and he reciprocated my wish. Soon we were all friendly, and I invited them down to our ship. In June 1928, 8:55, Emerson was traveling in a plane on a rescue mission when it disappeared. Emerson and the rest of the crew were never seen again. Our lesson is over. Keep on learning. Take care. Allah Hafiz.